Hey, what is going on, guys? I am KrisLuckPhoto. Today we're going to be talking about LUMINAR Neo. The full release just dropped. I have 6 photos I go over. One's a basic landscape photo. One tests the dust spot removal. One tests the power line removal. One is a Northern Lights photo. One is a drone photo. And the final one is a wildlife photo. So basically what I show you in this video is how I edit my photos. I personally think LUMINAR works best if you use it as a plugin in Lightroom or Photoshop, and that's what I do in this video. I'll show you my full workflow and how I get my photos from raw to final release. Alright, and with that being said, let's just get right into it. Alright, what is going on, guys? I am KrisLuckPhoto, and today we're going to be throwing these 6 photos into LUMINAR Neo and seeing if LUMINAR Neo is good, if it's worth it and whatnot. Alright, I'm going to start out with a regular landscape photo. I like to use LUMINAR as a plugin for Lightroom and Photoshop, so I'll typically just do a regular edit here in Lightroom, and we'll just do real basic here. I'm going to warm it up. Little contrast. Bring the highlights down just a touch. We'll bring the shadows up a little bit here. And maybe a little clarity, just a little bit. And just a basic little edit. I'm gonna make sure that horizon is straight, and that looks pretty straight. So I'm just gonna right click, edit in LUMINAR Neo, and here we go. Alright, we got LUMINAR Neo open, and we're going to start with just a little preset, and I'm going to show you this trick that I use in photography when it comes to editing. Whether you use LUMINAR or not, I think you'll like this tip. And they have these presets, and that looks a little over edited, so I believe in the 66 and 33% rule. So basically all that is once you see an edit that looks kind of cool, drop it down to 66 and see if it still looks decent, and I think I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm gonna go over to the tools and let's test out some of these features here. The newest one is Relight, and basically what this does is this. You notice how it makes the foreground a little darker, so it kind of looks like it gives attention to the main subject and whatnot. So you can adjust that, then you can adjust the far brightness, but I think it looks fine the way it was. The depth is basically how far it goes. Now, to me, it looks like just a regular gradient. Well, that looks good there. So, already, it's looking like a pretty good image already. So, I'm happy with that. No need for sky. I'll show you what atmosphere is. It basically like adds this little fake fog. And it looks okay, but not really for this picture, but basically it looks like a little fog on the foreground here, so I'm not going to use that. Let me just reset this. No sun rays in this photo. Dramatic is kind of like clarity. I'm not a big fan of it. And you know, one thing I have to do is I noticed my ND filter up here kind of made these white things, so let me go to crop. And I'm just gonna get that out just a little bit. Okay, so I gotta make sure. Yeah, I'm gonna reset this dramatic. Oh, and the atmosphere one. All right, so back there we got the crop. I'm gonna show you one of my favorite tools in LUMINAR is Mystical. Wait till you see this. I love what it does to the overall image. I like how it makes the sky nice and dreamy. It just makes the whole image look nice and dreamy. Next up is Glow. To me, Glow is kind of like a little more severe version of Mystical. And I think it makes the sky just a little too bright, but I really like what it does to the water here. So all I'm going to do is create a mask. And I can hold the bracket key up and down. And that makes the size of the mask bigger or smaller, and I always take the strength down really low, like 25%, 20%, and that way you can color it in as you go. So I'm just gonna do this right here, maybe a little bit in the tree here, a lot in the water, and I like how it looks. So that's with out, and that's with, maybe I'll even just bring it up just a little more. All right, so far this is before with just a Lightroom edit, and that is the LUMINAR edit. And then at the end, because these features can change your brightness and contrast and everything like that, so that's why I like to mess with the Essentials tab last, just to get the final image exposed properly. And I think it looks pretty good. I'll just show you a couple things. Here's a vignette. I'm not gonna throw a vignette on this photo. I'm not the biggest fan of them. It works in some scenarios, but not with this composition. I'll show you this landscape. It has dehaze, but I do like the Lightroom dehaze just a little better. You see it brings a nice color to the sky. And honestly, if I drop that down a little bit, I actually might keep that and increase the golden hour a little bit. And I only like what it does in this corner of the picture. I don't like this side. So once again, another mask, paint mask, and let's make this bracket real big. The strength is good, and we're just gonna draw in over the clouds and over the right side of the water here, and you can see the before and after there. I like that a lot. All right, and honestly for this photo, I think I'm done with it. I really like this final touching here. I'm gonna show you the before and the after right here. Okay, I'm gonna apply that, and there it is. Lightroom, I'm just gonna adjust this again because I didn't. All right, so Lightroom and LUMINAR. Okay, moving on. Moving on is the next test, and if you zoom in, you can see these really, really bad dust spots on the camera. When you shoot at a high aperture, f/22, you really get those dust spots shown. So first things first, just a regular little edit here. I'm gonna warm it up. Little contrast, highlights down, shadows and exposure up. I think we can make this work. Okay. All right, I'm pretty happy with that right there. And I'm gonna just make sure this horizon is straight. And honestly, it looks pretty good. So let's go ahead and just bring this into LUMINAR Neo. So once you are here, first thing again, you can go to your presets. We'll even do the same one, and I'm just gonna do 33% this time. Just that's before, that's after. Pretty warm looking image. I mean, it was morning and a little snow, but overall it was a warm vibe in this. So once I got that, now I can go to tools, and under erase here, you'll see this remove dust spots, and all you got to do is just click it. All right, dust spots removed. Let's go ahead and let's zoom in and see if we see any more. This one, you can kind of see where it was, but it kind of also looks like a little sun flare. But look at these ones. They are gone. Wow. That is a impressive feature. And I honestly, I really think that is worth it alone. Because when there's a lot and removing them individually, you'll miss them every time. So that was pretty cool. All right, let's go ahead and edit this photo again here. We'll mess with the relight, and I'm gonna kind of zoom through this one since you kind of saw what I did with the previous picture. But let's go ahead and we're gonna actually increase the brightness near. And I like that. Let's maybe change the depth. I like that. I don't think there's a point of adjusting the brightness on the far subjects here. No need to add in the sky. This is just a nice plain cloudless image, and I don't like the LUMINAR sky replacement. I think it's better to do in Photoshop. It's a lot more professional. So let me just show you the sun rays though, because even though you see some sun rays here, I'm going to even make them better. So first thing you do is hit place sun center, and you'll see this white little arrow here. Put that right in the center of the sun. You can increase the amount. It's a little much. Let's do that, but we can adjust it a little bit. This is the overall look. I think I'm gonna lower it just actually, right there it looks pretty good. I'm gonna decrease the sun ray length and decrease the penetration a little bit. All right, so sun radius makes the kind of like glow larger or smaller. So I like it larger. I think it looks a little better, and you can adjust the glow as well. I like that. And you can come down to the warmth and warm it up even more. That way it doesn't look super white. And I like what it's looking like. I really do. Raise setting. I'm gonna just, you see what it does. I'm gonna lower it a little bit. I think I like it right there. All right, so this is without, and that's with. I really do like how that came out. All right, moving on. I'm gonna show you what this mood is. I like the Santa Barbara a little bit. It just adds a really natural looking photo. And I'm just gonna leave it. You can increase it, decrease it, but I really like it at 30. And it's one of those features that is subtle, but it makes a big difference to me. Toning, now Lightroom used to have it looking like this, but then they changed it to the color grading, and both I enjoy a lot. But let me just show you what we can do here. I'm adjusting the shadows, and I'm going to make the shadows actually a little bit on the blue side. Bluish purple like that. So before and after, that way I really like what it does to the water here and the sky up here. It is a little blue here, but we could fix that when we come back to Lightroom. All right, I'm gonna go down the mystical here and increase that a little bit. Maybe increase the shadows just a hair, and the glow right here. And I like the overall image of what it looks like right now, and I'm pretty happy with how everything looks. Here's the before and here's the after. But like I said, I don't like this. And you can honestly either edit it here in LUMINAR or in Lightroom. And since we're here, I might as well just show you. Go to color, saturation, and it changes the whole thing, but then you just make a mask and you make this bigger. Decrease the strength. All right, before and after. All right, now that looks like a pretty natural image. Maybe I'll even kind of decrease it here just a little bit. Okay, I like this image a lot. It went from kind of unusable to looking pretty spiffy. Okay, I'm gonna apply that. Here's the LUMINAR version, and here is the Lightroom version. All right, moving on to the power line photo. We'll just start with a little edit, and I kind of like the color temperature that it's at, and we'll increase a little bit of everything here. Shadows up, highlights, looks good right there. Clarity just a little bit, even dehaze just a little bit, and I think we're good to bring that into LUMINAR. Right click, edit, LUMINAR Neo. All right, similar to the dust filter, we're going to remove power lines. Power lines removed. Wow, that's pretty impressive. I think though, if you zoom in, you can kind of see a little bit here, but honestly, it kind of just looks like branches. And the one thing that doesn't make sense with the power line is you see the telephone pole, but no wires, and you're like, something doesn't look right here. But I think it does a pretty good job before and after. So that's pretty cool. Let's go ahead and just edit this photo as usual. And I wish LUMINAR remembered my settings here. I don't ever really like using the brush under 30% opacity. I like it to be subtle. All right, so before, after so far, I like how everything's looking. Let's come over here to the next one. Let's try the Santa Barbara. Look how, like, it just looks so good. It doesn't make anything overly edited. It doesn't add too many blues, but it's just, I really like how it looks. Do we want to do any toning to this? Let's see what we can do. I like just a little blue in the shadows. I really like that. Highlights, highlights already look good as is. We can make them like that. And before, after. Kind of cooled down the image just a little too much. So what I'm going to do is just reduce that to right there. All right, when we'll add our lovely mystical effect. Just look what it does. I just absolutely love this effect so much. And that's all you have to do. And if you add a glow, see what it does to the sky. I don't like it, but I really like what it does here. So let's see. We'll make a new mask again. This should be getting pretty familiar. And yeah, all right, look at that. Lightroom, LUMINAR. Wow, that is a beautiful image. Now if you come to the layers, you can add a new layer, and they have these like weird little filters here. Look how natural that looks. Let's go to the next picture. We'll apply this and we can head to the Northern Lights photo. Now this one should be really fun to edit. This was just a special night. I have a whole YouTube video on this. Stars are pretty sharp, and that's one thing with R5. You want to make sure your stars are sharp, because when you're shooting at 45 megapixels, a lot of incorrect decisions can make them even more incorrect. So let's just do a little edit here. I'm gonna cool that down to right there and contrast up a little bit. Highlights, just want to have no white in there, and we can increase the shadows. Highlights look pretty good. All right, and we can increase the clarity and haze, but I'm not. Let's see what we could do in LUMINAR. Typically when I edit in Lightroom, this is what I would do. I would just create a new linear gradient only to the sky, add dehaze just enough, and then clarity, and then I would just bring down the saturation just a tiny bit. And that's what I would do in Lightroom, but this is a LUMINAR video, so let me delete this and right click, edit, LUMINAR Neo. All right, let's see what presets we can use. They use this for this photo thing, and it works okay sometimes. One of my favorite ones is this forest stream, but a little too blue for this scene. Let's see what clean light looks like. Clean light looks pretty good in the sky. I think we can work with this here. Let's go ahead and reduce that just a little bit. I like that. All right, we'll go to tools, and I'm gonna start from the bottom up. So we'll start with a little glow, and I just want the glow pretty much in this one everywhere except this spot. Create a mask. Once again, increase it, but decrease the strength. And I'm actually just gonna hit the erase tool this time and just take it out of there. So before, after already, looking really, really good. Next thing we'll do is mystical, and just 18 should do it. We can see what it does when we add the shadows. I do like increasing the shadows for this particular scene. That looks good. I'm not going to touch the matte, toning, mood. We can try the Santa Barbara, but I'm not touching any more things until we get to relight here. And what I'm going to do is, for the brightness near, I'm going to just make that just a little bit. And brightness far, right there looks decent. I'll just leave it reset. We can change the depth. I really liked how the depth was. Really focuses a light here. And the only thing I wish I did was a double exposure and kind of zoom in on that. Or I'm sorry, focus that, not zoom in on it. What I'm gonna go is, I'm gonna click advanced, and for the warmth near, I'm gonna go ahead and just increase that just a little bit. That looks good. I'm pretty happy with this. I still think it looks a little too blue here. So what I'm gonna do is come up here to color. I'm actually gonna go over here to the develop tab, come down to this color, and change the white balance to warmer. And you're probably thinking, for what? And I'll show you right now. because I'm just going to create a mask and just make this very, very subtle. All right, so before, after, and I'll even just decrease it, even make it more subtle. I think right there looks good. All right, that's the LUMINAR edit, and that's the Lightroom edit. So I really like how that worked. I'll just apply that and we'll move on to the next one. All right, we got it here inside of LUMINAR. Let's see what kind of presets we can do. Let's see what we got in nature here. I don't like them. Oh, I do kind of like this. That looks pretty good. All right, we'll come to tools and once again, work bottom up here. Only do a glow on everything except the sky, but I will include these mountains back here, and we'll just get everything except for the sky. Before, after, looks good already. Mystical amount, we'll just make that look as usual. I'm gonna decrease the shadows over this one and maybe just warm it up just a little bit, and that should give a little more glow here. All right, for toning, I don't think I want to touch any of it. I'll maybe make it a little warmer here, and then for highlights, I want to leave it a little cyan, but decrease it halfway. All right, so far that's the original, that's the edit. Little too green. I want this on a warmer side. So all right, I want to kind of warm up these trees just a little bit, so maybe I'll come up here to the color tab and HSL. We will make the yellows a little more orange, the greens a little more yellow, the oranges we'll leave them where they are. Maybe we'll make them a little more red. And already that looks a lot better. I'm pretty happy with how that looks. Not much else I would honestly change for this one. We can try the vignette here. So what I'll do is I'll hit choose subject and I'll make it the center part of this river here. And then I will just make this as feathered as possible. And before, after. So I do like how that looks with this feather in particular. Before, after, apply, done. All right, the final photo here is a wildlife photo. We're gonna just start with a little basic edit. This is Katmai National Park. It's about a 45-minute hour flight. We're gonna go ahead and just make this pretty basic. With wildlife, there's really no need to change a whole lot. You can see warming it up does that, lowering it does that. I kind of like the white balance that I shot. It's a really cool photo here. All right, right click, edit, LUMINAR Neo. The thing I really like is these two, the Savannah and the Animal Friends. We'll just preview these real quick, see if any of these jump out. I like the soft fur one sometimes, but not for this photo. Faded looks pretty good for this one. Not really caring for the black and white here. Let's see what Savannah has. I think I'm gonna go back to Animal Friends, faded, and we'll make this just about 30%. And before, after, we'll come to tools, and what I'll do is same thing. We'll see what these do for wildlife. I don't want too much white on the back here, but that glow did help out a little bit. Does the mystical effect work in this? Not in particular, not a fan of that. And honestly, I really don't like using LUMINAR for wildlife photos. I feel like it makes them look a little too fake. I like it for landscapes a lot, but you can see it's just a little too much. I think it's just a little too much. I don't know if the relight will work for this. We could try it. That looks pretty cool. Maybe we could try some fog here. Let's go ahead and mess with that. Well, that's not the worst. Here's the before, here's the after. I prefer just editing in Lightroom and making my wildlife photos look as natural as possible. I think all they really need is a little contrast, and sometimes they look cool with an effect, but I'm not a big fan on them. Golden hour, if you want to make them a little warm. But this photo, I think it's just a really cool scene and it looks good as is. I'm gonna apply and be done. Lightroom version, and that's the LUMINAR version. Alrighty, I think it actually looks pretty good. And looking at the Lightroom version now, maybe I do prefer the LUMINAR version. I think it's a pretty good photo. This is my old 60 Mark II. And I don't know why I can't zoom in on this photo here. Oh, that's why. Here we go. So it's actually out of focus. I have a bunch of these photos. That's not the point of this video. I just wanted to show you the power of LUMINAR. But I think maybe I focused on the whalebone on this one. Alrighty guys, thank you so much for watching my video. I really appreciate it. Overall, I think LUMINAR is pretty good. I don't do a super crazy amount. I don't really care for the sky replacement and whatnot. But I do like the mystical effect the most. And sometimes a preset is nice if you're not sure what you want to do with a photo. Overall, I really do like LUMINAR. I think it's a great tool for photographers. Some people don't care for the, you know, fakeness of it, but I think most of the stuff you could do in Lightroom, it's just an easier way to do things. And I will be using it in some of my photos and some of them I won't. So it just depends. I don't have a particular style. I just, whatever is happening, that's what I feel. That's how I edit my photos. So anyway guys, thank you for watching. Like the video, it helps me out a lot. Subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell if you want to see more. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.